I know this is our second day of polynomials, but we're going to start off with some review questions from the first semester. So a lot of this stuff is about slope of a linear line. So we want to know how steep the line is. So the first question says find the slope of the line. Now remember, if the line is going up from left to right, it is a positive slope. If it's going down from left to right, it is a negative slope. Since this one is going up, it should be a positive number. So if you look down here at the different numbers, you got 2 positive answers and 2 negative answers. So we are going to eliminate the 2 negative answers because that is not a negative slope line. It is going up. Up is happy and positive. Down is negative and unhappy. All right, so it's a positive slope. Now we need to know the exact number. Remember, it's rise over run. So I need to find 2 pretty points on the line and then count the vertical distance and count the horizontal distance. So if I look at this one, and they're not exact, the line is so thick and kind of fuzzy that there's one here, and if I follow along, not in the corner, not in the corner, but that one's in the corner. And if you want to follow along, there's going to be some more further down here in the corner. I just want any 2, and I generally go with the first 2 I see. So from this one to this one, what is the vertical space? I'm counting spaces. What's the vertical space between these 2 points? Vertically, it's only 1 space between them. So I went up 1. There's my 1. Now, how many over did you go? I went 1 space, 2 space, 3 spaces. So I went over 3, but I went up 1. The question is it 3 over 1 or 1 over 3? It's rise over run. It's the change in the y numbers over the change in the x numbers. So vertical rise on top, horizontal run on bottom. So 1 over 3. So 1 over 3. I went up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. Which answer matches that? That is A, of course. Hopefully this is all coming back to you when you see these done. Hopefully you know how to do them without my help. So if you think you know how to do all these, go do them, pause the video, and then come back and check your answers. When you check them, if you miss any of them, listen to how I do it. And if you have any questions, you can come Zoom with me at 4:20 in the afternoon. I'm usually on the Zoom every afternoon at 4, actually between 4:15 and 4:20 I'm on. And then I'll hang around for a little while, see if anybody's going to get on with me. So if you have any questions, come see me then, if the video does not explain it. When as you're watching the video, correct your answers before you take a picture and before you turn it in. Make sure you correct all your answers so you will get 100 on this assignment. Okay, number 2, find the slope of a line that passes through 2 points. Hopefully, if this doesn't automatically come to your head on how to do it, you look at your reference sheet for the linear unit, unit 3, unit 3 is the linear stuff. There are some posters in there, and they don't necessarily tell you on the unit posters, but if you look at the reference material that you get on the STAR test, there's some information under the linear section on the reference sheet, the STAR reference sheet. And one of them says slope of a line, and it says M equals, I'll write it up here, there. M equals, this is on the STAR reference material, M equals y minus y over x minus x. So this formula is on your reference sheet. Hopefully, if you go look at that reference sheet that you have in your hands-on test day, you go, oh, I remember how to do slope. I subtract the 2 y numbers on top. I subtract the 2 x numbers on bottom. Do we have 2 x numbers and 2 y numbers? Yes. In this ordered pair, this point, this is the x, that's the y. X's are always first, y's are always second. So when I set up this formula, I draw the line, I put my subtractions in the middle because I'm subtracting the 2, put parentheses for the first y number, parentheses for the second y number, parentheses for the first x number, parentheses for the second x number. And then I fill in my 4 numbers. That way when I put this whole fraction in the calculator, it will calculate it correctly. Now, y numbers are 3 and 3. So the 3 and 3 go on top, just like that inside the parentheses. The x's are 4 and negative 5 in the exact same order. 4, this is my first point, this is my second point. So first point, second point. 4 minus negative 5. So that negative 5 goes inside the parentheses. Now, put this in the calculator under the add subtract screen. Do control divide so you have a big fraction. And then just type in this whole top part with parentheses. And then type in the whole bottom part and hit enter. And the calculator will tell you that this slope is 0. And then go look at your answer choices. And sure enough, there it is, B. Now, just to review with you what 0 slope means. Is that a vertical line or a horizontal line? And of course, our little shortcuts were HOI, H for horizontal, and VUX for vertical. Now, this has got an O in it. So the HOI is the one that has the O in it. It's not VUX. This would have been an undefined slope. And if it was undefined slope, it would have been a vertical line. But this is hoi, so this is a horizontal line, and it looks like the horizon, so it looks like this. They didn't ask for that, but I just thought I'd throw that little tidbit in there just to remind you about hoi and bugs. Number 3, find the slope of a line, and they gave me an equation. Is that equation in y equals format? No, it's not. Is it in point slope form where you have a y minus a y equals a number, parentheses, x minus x? Nope, doesn't look like that either. So they didn't give me the version of a line that shows the slope. So how can we find the slope? We do know how to solve for y. So the goal is to get y by itself, and we're going to do that by hand on paper. So we need to get rid of the 4x term first. How do you undo subtracting 4x? We're going to add 4x. And there's a poster that shows you the step-by-step under the Unit 3 posters. So I add 4x to one side. Whatever I do to one side, I must do it to the other side. And then I'm going to rewrite this whole thing. The 4x is canceled out over here, which is why we did it. The negative 3y is going to come down. I'm going to move this all over. The equal sign comes down. And on this side, these are not like terms, so do not add them together. I'm going to rewrite them with the x term first and the constant at the end. So this is a positive 4x, and that's a positive 1, so plus 1. So far, this is what I have. Y is almost by itself. I just need to get rid of this negative 3. What operation is happening between the negative 3 and the y? This is a multiplication problem. How do you undo multiplication? Yep, you're right. We do the opposite operation. We're going to divide by a negative 3. If I do it to one side, I must do it to both pieces over here. I like to go ahead and split it up as soon as I do it. So negative 3's are gone. Y is now by itself. Now, remember, the slope is the number in front of the x, and the number on the end is the y-intercept. Am I interested in the y-intercept, or am I only interested in the slope? I'm only interested in the slope, so all I care about is this fraction right here. So if you put 4 over negative 3 in the calculator, it will tell you it is still equal to negative 4/3. And then you can go ahead and bring down the x that goes with it. I don't care about this last piece because that's my y-intercept. I just want this one. So the slope is negative 4/3. Do you have an answer that says that? Yes, we do. It's right there, B. Okay, so finding slope. When it's in y equals format, you can see the slope, and the number on the end is your y-intercept, which in this case, by the way, was a negative 1/3. If you put that in the calculator, it's negative 1/3. Write the equation of a line going through these 2 points. Are all your answer choices in y equals format? Yes, they are. If they are in y equals format, can we just put them in our graphing calculator? Yes, and once they're in the graphing calculator, and we do them one at a time, we check the table. So go to the home key and go to the graph icon, and then under the graph icon, you already have f of x equals in the calculator. This is your y equals. It already has y equals here, so all I need to do is type in the right-hand side. Use the subtraction key when you're typing in equations. This is subtract, control divide 5/3, x, subtract, control divide 1/3. So make sure you're typing them in correctly on the calculator. Once it's in, how do we get to a table? Control T. You hit the control button once, and then you hit the T button once, and that will bring up the table. Now in this table, I am looking, I've got x's on the left, I got y's on the right, so forget about this for a second. I've got x's on the left, y's on the right. Here's my x number, there's my y number. So when x is 2, the y is 3. So 2, 3 is one of the points I'm looking for. X is negative 1, y is negative 2. So when x is negative 1, the y needs to be negative 2. There it is. So once I put the equation in, I go check the table. Scroll around till you can see the 2 from the x and see if y is 3. And also check the second point, negative 1, negative 2. If both these points match, that's your winner. If it doesn't have either both of these, then cross it off. So one at a time, go put the equations in the calculator. I'll wait while you go do it. Pause the video. Go do it. You can do these on your own. Hopefully you all have the TI Nspire software on your laptop. If you don't, you need to be emailing me and letting me know that so we can get your software on your laptop so you can do these. All right, so hopefully everyone's gone and done that. And which one matched? You didn't have to go too far down the list. B matched. All right, last one on this word, not the last one, but almost last one. Number 6, solve for x. Now, normally by hand, we would draw the line through the equal sign. We would simplify this whole side over here and then get x's by themselves by getting them on one side and doing operations until you isolate x and get everything else to the other side. However, On our STAR test, we have graphing calculators. Is there an easier way to do it than doing it by hand? Yes, we can put this in NSolve. NSolve. It's very similar to LinSolve, where we put two equations, our systems of equations, but we go to the add subtract screen. So normally when we put in equations, we go to the graph icon, but this time we go to the add subtract screen. While you're in the add subtract screen, you hit menu, and then you hit the number 3 for algebra, and then you hit number 1 for numerical solve. And when it pops up, it's going to say NSolve, and it's going to have a parentheses here. You're going to type in the whole equation, the whole thing from start to finish, parentheses and all, equal sign, everything, from the very beginning to the very end. Wherever you see these minus signs, this is your subtract key. Do not use this negative key that's on the calculator. Use the over there where it says plus, minus, multiply, divide. You use that subtraction key. Do not use this one. You do not want that key. So subtract 5x, subtract 4, subtract 3, parentheses, subtract 5x plus 2, close the parentheses, equals 3x, subtract 38. When you get to the end, before you close the big parentheses, put a comma and put an x. And then you'll have your final parentheses out here after this. So you have a little control X. So you're typing in the whole equation, comma X at the very end, then hit enter. And it will tell you what X is. What number can you substitute in for X that will work and make this true? So if you have not done this, pause the video, go find NSolve and put it in. These should be gimme questions on the STAR test. You need to be able to execute this perfectly on test day. I'll wait. Go do it. Okay, hopefully you paused it and you did it. When you did, it said X is -4, and there is your answer right there. Now, number 8 is solve this two equations. So what do we call two equations? That is a system of equations, and we want to know what X and Y number, if I plug them in, will be true for both equations. So if we were to graph these two, we're looking for where they intersect, right? We're looking for that point where they intersect. That X and Y number will solve both equations because that's the solution to both lines. So easy way to do this without graphing them by hand or solving by hand is to put them in the graphing calculator. And specifically, we go to LinSolve. Just like we did NSolve up here, you go to the add subtract screen, you hit menu, 3 for algebra, and then go to number 2, which is solving systems of equations, because this is a system of equations. It asks you if you have two equations, you're going to hit OK. And then it gives you two little boxes, one above each other, because you have a little top little box and a little bottom box. Type one equation in the top box, type the second equation in the bottom box. And again, the whole equation from start to end, use a subtraction key here. Do not use that negative key, use subtraction. And then hit enter, and it's going to tell you at the end where they intersect. It's going to give you those two numbers. It's going to give you the X number and the Y number. So pause the video, go do it in your Inspire calculator. Okay, hopefully you paused the video and you've gone and done it and you found out that X was -3 where they intersected and Y was -5. So what answer matches that? It is B. Okay, a couple more on here. We have a number 5 over here that I skipped over going down the right side. The distance one travels varies directly. As soon as you see those words varies directly, you should be hearing ding, 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 ding and seeing butterflies flying around your head. This is a butterfly problem. It's a proportion problem. It's a fraction equal to a fraction. This is to this as that is to that. All I got to do is fill in the 3 numbers they give me and put an X in the missing place. And then I'm going to solve for X. And that's the butterfly technique. So the very first 2 numbers are going to make my first fraction. So I go skim through and look for the 2 numbers. Constant rate of speed, it took 10 hours to drive 70 miles. So I've got 10 and 70. Doesn't matter which one you put on top on the first fraction. I put hours on top, so I'm going to make myself a little note that hours are on top, and the 10 were miles, so this is miles on bottom. And the only reason that makes a difference is when I set up the second equation. The third number is 2 hours. Do hours go on top or bottom? Hours go on top because I put them on top on the first fraction. So this is my 2, and that means I have X for my unknown miles. How far can he go? That's my miles. Once you have the 2 fractions set up, you cross multiply. This times this, 70 times 2, is equal to this butterfly wing over here. So this times this is equal to this times this, which is 10x. I can't actually multiply them together because I don't know what x is. Now we have an equation. We just got to solve for x. How do I undo multiplying by 10? You divide by 10. If I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side. So my 10s cancel out. X is equal to whatever this math is. I just need to multiply 70 times 2, take that answer and divide by 10 and see what you get. Go do it if you haven't already done it. These are pretty much gimme questions because they all set up the exact same way and you do that over and over. You just got to recognize those words very directly and set up a proportion problem. The answer on this one is C. You are correct. It was 14 miles. Now, this one looks really fancy and complicated. The expression 6 square root of 50 plus 6 square root of 2 written in simplest radical form is what? Now, I know if we didn't have graphing calculators, if we didn't have these fancy calculators with all the square root symbols, this would be a hard question to do, especially if it was not multiple choice. But since it's multiple choice, this becomes a gimme question. This is all numbers. There are no X's and Y's in here. I can put this in the add subtract screen of the calculator and just have it equal a number. All of these, also all numbers, I can just put them one at a time in the calculator and see which one matches that same answer. I am looking for the one that is the same. When I simplify it down, it will be identical to it. Okay, it's just been simplified, but it's still the same number. So put in 6, square root symbol, put a 50 inside, put a plus sign, type a 6, put a square root symbol, and put a 2 inside and hit enter and see what number you get. It's going to be approximately some number. Round it off, just write down what that number is. Then put each of these in the calculator one at a time and see which one matches that number that you had up there. So I'm going to pause, or you pause the video and go do that. Okay, hopefully you had time to pause the video and you went and did that and you're coming back. And the one that matched it, yes, you were right, it's the last one. It was 36 times the square root of 2. And we will practice these without a calculator after the STAR test. But for right now, since we can do this on the STAR test, we're going to go ahead and continue doing them this way just to estimate them. And then we will do it more precisely when we get done with the STAR test and we don't have graphing calculators. Okay, when you finish this up and you check your answers, go ahead and do the next side with the second video. Bye, everybody.